In today's video, you're going to learn how to create this 3D box effect with Photoshop. So we're going to start with just a normal shape of a box, and we're going to add in some shadows and also some lighting and some edges to give it this 3D effect. So this is actually really easy to do, so stick around till the end of the video to learn all of this from start to finish. So I've got a blank canvas here that is 1080 by 1080 pixels. So let's start by drawing in a rounded square. So to do that, just go down to the shape tool right here, click and hold, and there's all these options. So just click on the rounded rectangular tool option right here, and I'm going to hold shift and just draw a square. And I'm going to place it nicely in the center, so just choose the move tool, and let's just place it nicely in the center just here. So it automatically kind of snaps to the center. And you can also adjust the radius of the rounded corners here. So if you don't see this panel right here, just go to Windows and click on Properties. So make sure you have this clipped right here, clicked on, so you should be able to see this square around it. So if you edit one corner, it just edits all the corners together. So let's just make it about 50 pixels. So I think that looks pretty good. So after that, I'm going to get rid of the outline, the black outline. So I'm just going to put that to 0, or just click right here and just click on this little cross icon right here. So now it just disappears. So we need to add in a drop shadow to make the square visible. So go up to, make sure you have this rounded rectangular layer selected, and if you don't see this layers panel, go to Windows and click on layers. So go to layer and go to layer style, and then go down to drop shadow. So now you can see a little shadow just drop there, and you can edit the shadow as well. So you can increase the distance of the shadow, so it can come down just a little bit there. You can also edit the spread of the shadow, so it can spread out further, and I can also increase the size of the shadow as well, so it's quite a big shadow here. And also, so I'm going to click on OK. You can also add in another shadow as well, so you can add in like a darker shadow just around the edges of the square, so that gives it a bit more of a better effect of a shadow. So let's do that as well. So go back to layers and go back to layer style and click on drop shadow again, and there's this extra option right here. So if you click on this plus icon, it just adds the same shadow that we put in before again. So this time I want the size to be a bit smaller, so you can see there's a smaller shadow there, and I'm going to decrease the distance of the shadow there, so just go up a little bit so you can see this sharp kind of darker shadow just below the edge right there. And you can also increase the spread just a little bit if you wanted to, just so you get the exact right effect you're looking for, and also increase the opacity, and you just need to play around with that until you just get the right effect. So let me just increase the size just a little bit there, and maybe increase the distance by maybe about 3 pixels, and I'll also, there we go. So I think that looks good. So before we didn't have this edge, and it makes a big difference when we just add in that tiny little edge there, and also the edge, the bigger shadow in the back as well, which is a bigger but a lighter shadow. So already we kind of have this 3D effect on the square, but we can also add in more of an effect by adding in some shades around this corner now. So to create these shaded corners, just go to the layers panel and click and drag this rounded rectangle layer into the new layer icon. So the new layer icon is just right beside the bin icon. So we have this extra copy of the square layer. So next, right click on that layer and click on rasterize layer. So what that will do is, before it was a shape layer. So with shape layers, you actually can't edit them in any way that you want. It has to remain in that exact same shape. So if it was a rounded rectangle, it has to be a rounded rectangle. But if you rasterize that layer, now you can edit this into whatever you want. You can chop it up, you can make it smaller, bigger, anything that you want. So we have this extra copy of the same square that is rasterized. So we're going to press and hold Control, and that is the Option key if you're on a Mac, and we're going to click on that layer. So click on this little square on that layer, and what that will do is it will select everything in that layer, which is the square. So we have the selection now. So then go to the paint bucket tool and choose the color picker tool, and just choose a really light gray color. And the color code that I'm choosing is E4, E4, E4. So you can just type that in. That's E4, E4, E4. And let's click on OK. And let's just fill this in. So we have this gray box filled in now. So to deselect this, just press Ctrl D or Option D if you're on a Mac. So now what we do is we need to kind of get rid of the middle part, so we're just left with the edges. So to do that, just press and hold Ctrl or Option key if you're on a Mac, and again click on the square of that layer, and we're going to go into Select at the top and go down to Modify and click on Contract. So this is going to contract the selection. So we contracted by 15 pixels. So it just made the selection a little bit smaller. So now all you do is just hit delete and then press deselect again by pressing Ctrl D, and now we have this nice looking edge. But you might have noticed on the edges of this gray edge that we just created, there's this gray shade right here. So we don't want that. That's the shadow that we created before. So to do that, just go down to the second copy of the layer that we just created and click on this little eye icon that says Effects. And that should get rid of all the shadows on that gray edge that we just created. So let's zoom out, and already we have this nice 3D looking box, but we can make this look even better by adding some more lighting in. So I want the light to be coming in from top to bottom. So it should be quite light at the top and dark at the bottom. So click on the mask icon right here. So make sure you have the second copy of the layer selected and click on the masking box. So you should see this little extra box right here. So what happens here is anything that we paint in black, so let's just choose the paintbrush tool and let's choose a black color. Anything that we paint in black in that masking box will be hidden. Anything that we paint in white, so let's just choose a white color, will be revealed. So I'm revealing what we just hid. But anything that's gray, so the darker the gray, the more it hides. The lighter the gray, the more it reveals. So this is a really useful tool. It's called the masking tool, and it's much better than the eraser tool because the eraser tool just deletes what we erase, but the masking tool just hides it, and we can hide just a part of it by choosing a gray color. So that's what we're going to do here. So go to the paint bucket tool and just click and hold and choose the gradient tool right here. And we're going to choose a black color. And make sure you have the masking box selected right here. And I'm going to click just roughly on the middle of the square at the top right here. And just click and drag all the way to the bottom. And already you can see we have this lighting coming from the top. And we can just do that again. So maybe this time I'll just go up to here. And I'll try it one more time. And you can do this multiple times just to kind of get that effect. So maybe from here to there I'll try. So maybe a bit closer. That's when I actually get that nice looking effect. There we go. So that's coming in nicely now. Cool. So I think that looks pretty good there. We have kind of lost the edges there, but we can get that back. And one more thing I can do is I can also lower the opacity right here of this edge. So already we have this cool looking 3D effect with a nice 3D edge to it. So what I want to do is get back some of the edges that we had here before, because I don't want it to be completely white at the top. So what I might do is create an extra copy of this and delete. So I just create an extra copy of the edge, and I'm going to delete the layer mask box, so it reveals everything again. But on this one, I'm going to lower the opacity even more to maybe about 5%, so you can just slightly see the edges just around there. And I might even lower the opacity here to maybe like 20%, just about there. So I think that looks good. So that's pretty much it now. So you've got this nice 3D gray box. So if you want to take this on even further, you can also change the colors of this. So I'll leave a video in the description below on how to play around with the color modes right here. But let's say you wanted a different color. You can just add in a solid color, maybe like a red color here. And I'm going to put this at the top. And you can give it a color or an overlay. So you got this kind of a red tint going around it. Or you can put in like a multiply. So it's a nice looking effect there. And you can maybe lower the opacity a little bit here. So there's many different options that you can do with this, but the point is to create this 3D effect just by using a few shades of gradients, a shape tool, and just the masking tool. Just with that, we can create this nice 3D box. So if you have any questions, you can comment down below. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do, because I come out with videos like this weekly. And if you have a video request, any type of videos that you want me to make, comment down below and I'll make them. And make sure you guys follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. I'll leave a link to them in the description below. So that's it for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.